tidings. And so the universe then has no choice. First attribute of the secret place. The secret place is a place of revelation. It makes you free because it awakens you and makes you consciously aware that everything that you thought was holding you is an illusion. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for jumping in and joining me tonight. Again, a very brief broadcast empowerment session that we're going to do tonight. I'm in the studio, but I'm only here for a short while. So I'm here for a good time, but not a long time. Okay. So those of you who are on with me right now, you know what to do. I need you to tag and share, invite as many people as you can to come over and join us in this conversation that we're going to have right now. And I kind of thought tonight what I wanted to do is to take a few moments and expand a little bit on what we talked about last night. I had a couple of people inbox me and a few others that were texting me to try and get a little bit of better understanding about this whole idea of oneness and dealing with that illusion of separation. And so I wanted to just kind of touch on it again about what I was saying to us on last night. I actually did a complete hour and a half long teaching on this. It's somewhere on my page. You'll have to scroll down many months ago to be able to come across it again when I was talking about, I think I was talking about everything God is, I am. And I talked about the illusion of separation. And at that point, I was talking about the illusion that we are separated from God. But it is also, we live under the illusion and delusion that we are somehow disconnected and separated from each other. Okay, so let's just jump right in right there since I'm already there. What I was saying to you last night, and this is what I mean about being good to yourself. What I was saying to you last night and trying to make clear is that everything that exists in the world, in this three-dimensional plane that we call Earth, and everything that exists in the universe, and everything that exists in other dimensions and across the multiverse and in nature, everything that is comes from the all that is, and that is God. God is the creator, the ultimate progenitor of all that is, the everything and the all of everything that is. Everything comes from God. Everything emanates, has its genesis or its beginning with God. Not only does everything come from God, but God is ubiquitous in its presence. That is, that there is no place that God is not. And there is nothing that exists outside of God. If it exists in God. It cannot exist outside of God because God is omnipresent. There is no place that God is not. So if there is no place that God is not, God is omnipresent. Everything not only comes from God, God as creator, progenitor, the beginning, the genesis of all things, and then everything is in God. God is all encompassing. By him, the world consists. It continues to exist. It continues to function and to carry on. That then means not only does all of the universe, the multiverse, and other dimensions come out of God and exist in God, but all beings that exist came out of God and exist in God. There is no life outside of God. There is no life outside of the all of everything, this ultimate divine force, energy, spirit, if you will, is that which encompasses everything. So then not only does all of nature and the universe and the multiverse and other dimensions come out of God and exist in God, every being, that is, every spirit or soul that exists in this three-dimensional plane as well as across the multiverse and other dimensions, has its genesis in God and exists, continues to carry on to function in God. If every soul has its genesis out of God, it is God manifested in form. It is using a colloquial term, a piece of God. There is really no piece, it's God manifesting itself in some form. God in the trees, God in the birds, God in the sky, God in the planets, God in man. And so every human that exists in this three-dimensional plane is a manifestation of God in three-dimensional form or flesh. That we are all divine expressions, an animated expression of God in three-dimensional form, living and experiencing itself as human. That we are spirit being human. I know we've covered this before, but I know it seems like I'm walking an elementary line, but I am, because I want to make sure everyone understands and can grasp what I'm saying. So then, if all of that is true, and it is, then if we all emanate from God, and we all exist in God, and we all are a divine animation and expression of God experiencing itself as human, then God is not divided. There is one God, yes, and multiple expressions or multiple forms of God that exist in the earth as well as across the multiverse. One God, individualized in multiple forms. One God with a multiplicity of forms and shapes. God manifested as me, as you, as your brothers, sisters, cousins, aunties, friends, and every other person that you meet. As it is with us as spirit being human, every individualized form of spirit as human has a soul. Well, that soul, like spirit, emanates from God and exists in God. It is the conscious awareness of God intertwined with spirit, housed in individualized form. Just as there is one spirit, this is the one that's going to kick you. There is one soul in multiple forms, experiencing and expressing itself as human, having a human experience, and exploring all of the possibilities available to itself in the form that it has taken. So, ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, and it is, then every other human that you encounter, you are only encountering a different version or expression or animation or form of yourself. And each person that meets you is encountering a different form, expression, or animation of themselves. All individualized, all having a unique experience. No two snowflakes alike, but they're all snow. No two raindrops alike, but they're all rain. For those of you who are initiated within the Christian faith, then in Corinthians chapter 12, Paul puts forth this particular idea. He speaks about all of us being a part of the body, he calls it, the body of Christ, or the body of the anointed, Christos, the body of the anointed, that is the body of God. And then he begins to now analogize and say, because the eye says I'm not the foot, that I'm not a part of the body. Not so. Even though the eye does not function as the foot, even though the foot does not function as the ear, or the ear not function as the nose, and the nose as the mouth, each of them are having a unique expression and experience. Each of them have a unique function within this earth, yet they are all a part of the one singular body. Well, that is what he's trying to put forward. Every one of us, even though we may have a different function, we are having a unique experience, unique function in the earth. We are all a part of one singular soul. And so you don't point to the eye and say that's not a part of your body, or your nose and say that's not a part of my body. When you speak of my body, you speak of the entirety of every intricate part. You don't have to sit there and say your lungs, your kidney, your heart. You don't have to say your capillaries, your blood vessels, or your nervous system. You simply say my body. And when you make that statement, you are speaking of the totality of every minute thing that makes up your body. Each of them having different experiences, each of them having different functionality, each of them unique in their shape, form, and function, yet all a part of one singularity that makes up you. Well, when we speak of the divine spirit, the all of everything, we speak of the omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, omniactive God. Then we are speaking of the totality of God, individualized in a multiplicity of forms, each of them having their own experience, each of them having a unique functionality, each of them explicitly experiencing it and expressing that part, that divinity that they are, yet each of them are part of the singular whole that is God. So when you encounter a person that you haven't encountered before in a three-dimensional form, while you may not recognize their form, you can consciously be aware of and now recognize you are meeting a different form of you, a different version of you. So you never meet anyone new. You are only meeting a different version of yourself. That's why it's so important that you entertain, be careful, mindful, be very attentive and intentional about how you entertain strangers, that is an unfamiliar form, because you may be entertaining a divine messenger that you have pre-sent. The two of you have pre-sent to encounter each other in that moment, so that you may both be blessed, elevated, expanded by that encounter. You are positively impacted because you sent yourself to encounter yourself in multiple forms, so that you would aid yourself in experiencing and fulfilling your purpose, passion, and exploring the infinite possibilities that are available to you. So be good to those that you encounter. And in being good to them, you're being good to yourself. When you are good to the broken, disheartened, disquieted, when you are good to the frustrated, the depressed, when you are good to the marginalized, when you are good to those that are outcast and cast aside, when you're good to those that society has deemed less than, like you are good to the immigrant and good to those who are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, or you are good to those who are of different culture, different ethnicity, different experience, a different part of the world that you are from. When you are good to others, you are good to yourself. As you are doing it unto them, you are doing it unto yourself. Just as Jesus is purported to have said, that whatever you should do unto these, you have done unto me. He said, I was naked and you didn't clothe me. I was hungry, you didn't feed me. I was in prison, you didn't visit me. And then he says, but there were those of you, when I was naked, you did clothe me. I was hungry, you fed me, and I was in prison, and you came and visited me. And the disciples who were following him were puzzled. When did we ever see you naked? When did we ever see you hungry? When were you ever in prison? And Jesus is purported to have said to them, when you have done this to the least of these, he was speaking of those who are physically experiencing those kinds of life traumas, tragedies, or whatever, or rescue and compassion. He says, then you are doing it to me, because I am one with them. They are one with me. You are one with me, and I am one with you. There is no separation. It is the illusion of separation that is at the root of all the dysfunction that we experience in humanity. If we were to fully grasp and wrap our mind around and begin to act in alignment with the belief and the knowledge that we are all one spirit, one soul, experiencing and expressing itself uniquely in different forms, then how would you treat yourself? It is the reason that, again, Jesus is purported to say that the greatest of all the commandments is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Because when you love your neighbor, you are loving yourself. When you love those that are disquieted and broken, those that are lost and wandering, those that are broken or disjointed, those that are outcast and adjudicated, guilty and useless, you are loving yourself. Are you understanding? When you are good to others, you are good to you. When you approach every three-dimensional form as a version of yourself, an expression of the divine, then it changes your intentions and motives toward them. Many times we don't act, we react to people, places, and things because we don't perceive them as being God. We don't perceive them as being divine, and we certainly don't perceive them as being us. We have been trained and taught by human society through culture, religion, environment, and government that there is an us and them. Come on. We think in terms of an us and them. Our corporate structure in capitalism is set up and arranged and organized in an us and them fashion. You have the management and the employee, the upper echelon and the grunts, the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That there is an us and them, and that illusion of separation is at the root of our dysfunction. Every war that has ever been fought in the world has been fought from the perspective of separation and us and them. And so we are American. They are Russian. They are Ukrainian. They are African. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And so we go to war with them. But when you war with them, you are warring with you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That's why I said, I don't, and you don't either. You may not understand it or grasp it yet, but I don't have any haters. I don't have any enemies. I don't have anyone against me. I don't have any adversaries. I don't have some deep, dark thing that's attacking me. Everything is for me. Absolutely nothing is against me because everything is me. Whoo! Let me say that again. Everything is for me. Absolutely nothing is against me because everything is me. Your outer world of form and experience is a reflection of your inner world of thought and feeling. So your outer world, the universe, has a responsibility to reflect back to you the imagined form, the imaginations, the thoughts, feelings, and imaginations that emanate from you in three-dimensional form. It has a responsibility to bring into manifestation and present to you the outpicturing of your own thoughts, ideas, beliefs, concepts, imaginations, and visionings. Are you hearing me? So you attract who you are. And when you attract a version of who you are, you can't get angry at that version, because what you should really be angry at, if you're going to be angry, is the you that formed it. And if you want it to change, you change. Whew. Are you understanding what I'm saying? You want to change what shows up, what exists in the matrix of your reality? Then you change at your core, change your mind, change your intention, change your imagination, change your inner intuitiveness, and align it with your divinity, and you will have a divine experience. And you'll entertain angelos, divine messengers, again and again, showing up in your life to bring you everything that you need to navigate your journey toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Are you hearing me? And your passion, and explore all the possibilities that the universe has available for you. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And I'm out of time. I told you 30 minutes. 30 minutes it is. Man, this was good. And plus I gotta go. I got somewhere I have to be. So I know that this was impactful, and I know that it was positive. I know that you gained and you grew from it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow night for another 30 minutes again, and we're going to dig in a little bit deeper and go into some other areas as well. I want to remind you to take advantage of your opportunity to give, to sow, and to demonstrate your generosity, appreciation for what you receive from tuning into these empowerment sessions. It is not only your privilege, but your responsibility to demonstrate your appreciation through your generosity by giving whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that you can. I appreciate you. Take a moment and do it right now before the moment passes and you forget all about it. You got your phone right there in your hand. Go ahead and go into your Cashapp or your Zelle and give whatever it is that you desire to give tonight. I will see you all back here again tomorrow night, probably around the same time at 7:30. I will either be in the studio, in the car, or in another location. So don't be surprised if you happen to see trees behind me or traffic behind me or whatever, or I'm sitting in the car. Just tune in and focus in on the conversation. All right? Okay, everybody. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful, fantastic, splendiferous night.